Here we go. Amazing. James, thank you so much for coming. I'm excited to have you, man. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Doron. I really appreciate it.
Uh, James, I've been hearing so many good things about you, and my rule is simple. I like to be surrounded by good people. I like to meet new and good people, and so I kind of invited you to come on my podcast and just chat a little bit and see where you're about, what you're up to, because I want to bring the spotlight on you to our channel and to our audience because I believe that you're a solid guy. So if this is not a, a warm welcome, I don't know what is.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate it, Doron.
So James, why don't we just start from the top? I always like to ask our listeners, how did you find yourself into uh, getting into um, real estate? Like, what would be your penetration point that you think, if you can pinpoint that out to us, they got you from one place to the other, and what was that one place that you started off before you went into the real estate world?
Yeah. No, that's a great question to start with. So I've spent 23 years in the Marine Corps and I've traveled all around the world. And as I transitioned off of active duty, maybe about 10 years ago, and switched over to the reserves, I switched into an IT job that's been really amazing. It's been awesome. It's always been my passion in IT. But I started looking towards retirement and thinking, hey, what happens? How do I stop working? And how do I enjoy the rest of my life? And so, looking forward to that military retirement. But I wasn't quite there, so I had to figure out what to do um, and how to bring in that passive income. Right. So I had another mentor of mine, Juan Rose. He's been in commercial real estate for years and doing good things. And so he took me under his wing and kind of mentored me to start off with and said, hey, James, just skip the whole single family thing. And if you're going to go multifamily, go bigger. He had some medium sized properties, and he said, "Hey, look, the amount of time that I spent with some of these smaller and medium along the way, just skip it and go bigger. You'll benefit from the scale." So that's what I did. I started devoting all my time to learning, and I think my first year I read 25 books. And I really hit it hard, um, just seeking mentorship from my friends that I knew at the time, and from other podcasts, and like yours, and just really getting started that way.
Amazing. I love what you said that you used a mentor. I think that people don't understand, people that oppose mentorships, how much of value it is. And it's a real shortcut, not from the time standpoint, but from the learning curve standpoint, from the cost of the mistakes, from the years of wasting your time on things that don't suit you and where you're heading. Like you mentioned, the single family, you didn't want to, he said already right off the gate, you know is a waste of time, where most people take 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 years, just to realize
That's
what
right.
he just told you, right?
Yeah.
That alone, which is crazy because we got that in common, because I also started in multifamily. I skipped that entire phase as well. I
Yeah.
wasn't able to have a mentor, I can tell you that much. I wish I had. But dude, was he right? So kudos to that advice. I can testify for that to be so good. So I know you're doing a whole bunch of stuff. We chatted a little bit offline, and you have quite a few virtues going on simultaneously under the same umbrella of your Thrive brand. Some are, the acquisition and disposition, some of the property management, some of the other things that I would like to bring forth here on this platform, like a creative exchange. But before we get into that, I would love to just learn a little bit about how are you different? I believe that God made us so different from each other. And one of the things that stuck out to me with you is you not being like everyone else, which I automatically connected to because I'm the same exact way. Um, you know, I like to think outside the box. I like to get creative with a lot of things. Uh, especially in business. And I know you do some stuff like Section 8, for example, or profit housing platforms, things like that. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that? Maybe also educate our listeners about that, how you maybe are intertwining that with your multifamily, because I know you do multifamily. Like just what does that look like?
Yeah, so I think the big differentiator for me, I think, is the fact that it's kind of twofold. So not only is my technique different than others out there, um, but it comes down to who I really am and what I've learned throughout my career in the military and then in the corporate sector. So I love to give back. When I transitioned out of the Marine Corps and into big tech, I found that so many people helped me along the way. Other veterans from different services and things like that, they bent over backwards to help me. And so when I was there, I turned around and said, "Hey, there's no formal program to get other veterans into tech." And so I started a program with my company, and we blew that program up to getting about 80 transitioning veterans through our program. It was a 90-day mentorship where we came in, gave them a certification from the company, and then connected them with actual jobs. So we had about a 50% acceptance ratio. So with big companies, it's hard to just get everybody hired, right? Even if they're awesome. And so it was really amazing to be able to get over 40 people hired. So I love to give back. And that's why whenever anybody stops me or, hey, asks for advice, hey, how do I do this or that? It's really a passion of mine to just pour into them and help them. So the differentiator, that's the first one, is just me and who I am and how I like to give back. And that kind of spills over into the quality of service that I like to provide for my customers, because I'm building a brand where my customers know that love where you live is our slogan. So I like to make our properties and our residents love where they live in the property. So that's the kind of ethos and culture I create with my company, and giving back to our residents, and tightening up the timeline on service calls and making sure that we put customer service first. So all of that is as a result of my corporate and military upbringing.
Love it, love it. That's good stuff, and I couldn't agree with you more. I try to explain this to people all the time. At the end of the day, people want to live in nice places.
Yeah.
People. So love where you live is so powerful and concise, and it just showcases that really really nice. But the nonprofit housing platform that you have. Why don't you tell us how that goes, and how are you implementing it in multifamily?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the second differentiator for me, is the fact that not only am I doing multifamily, and I'm doing larger multifamily, i.e., I'm not doing duplexes or fourplexes um, uh, but I'm doing them all creatively, and I use a master lease strategy is what I'm actually implementing for my properties. But in the spirit of giving back to my residents and to my tenants, the best customer service that I can provide possible. Um, I've started really connecting with a lot of local nonprofits and local folks in the community, along with the Section 8, HUD with county and city, and really developing those relationships with those folks. Um, Seeing them as a partner in how I can make a bigger difference. I can partner with the city or with the county and help provide a great place to live, while also providing a fast solution for them. If they need to rent, they can contact me and we can get them in there same day. So that kind of grew into working with the nonprofits as well. So I kind of cultivate that relationship and treat them as my best customer, because at the end of the day, if I can be a good partner to them, I can grow the impact that I have in the community much faster than just working directly with market rate regular people off the street. Now I do that too, but and I cater the same way as I do to them as nonprofits. But with nonprofits, sometimes I'll get a call from some of them. And they say, "Hey, I need 2, 3, 4 units right now," and we can have them tour buildings same day, and they can walk away with a lease within an hour or two, and we've solved their problem.
So let me stop you to make sure I wrap my head around the concept, because I just need some fine tuning. So you just show up in the city or the county administrative building and say, "Hey, where are you nonprofits?" Like I like to help people with tactical advices on my podcast. So how do you find and locate those type of nonprofits in mind?
Yeah, so the first way I found them, I was actually introduced to them, and through a property manager that I was using when I very first started out. I didn't have my vertical integration in my company. I mean, all that wasn't set up when I first started. I've had to learn the hard way, and so I started out with a property manager, and they said, "Hey, I got a potential candidate here with a nonprofit. Do you want to work with them?" And I said, "Sure, let's give it a shot." And what I discovered was it was so easy to work with them, and they're so nice to work with. Sometimes in lower income areas and in rougher neighborhoods where people have guns and drugs and things like that, is commonplace. Um, uh, Sometimes some of the normal things that you would expect with a tenant landlord relationship go out the window. Like when somebody breaks a window and you go after
Yeah,
a regular tenant, they
yeah,
say, "Oh, that was my boyfriend. You go after him if you want to
yeah.
get that window fixed." And that's really hard to deal with sometimes. But working directly with a nonprofit,
They're
they say,
responsible for everything. They're bounded by that master lease, right?
exactly. So they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Just bill us for it and get it fixed right away."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
smooth
yeah.
everything out.
But to try to help our audience, if they want to do nonprofit work, because we're in a great community that always aspires to help people. What's that? How can they actually, from a tactical standpoint, locate those nonprofits to work with?
Yeah, so I would look up the nonprofits in your area, just whatever city you're working in. I would look up. So I work with some that help homelessness and homeless people get off the streets, others that help endangered youth. So those are a couple of categories you can look up to just Google search what agencies in my local city or town are doing that. And then I would pick up the phone and call them and try to create a relationship. First, you got to ask, do you provide housing as a resource for your clients and customers? And if they do, you can kind of drill into that a little bit deeper and say, well, you can explain, what you have available if you have a whole building or if you have a house available, because they take all sorts of things. They don't just take apartments. They take single family homes. Well, the
Yeah,
ones in my area, single family homes, duplexes, triplexes. So
yeah, I
I
love
would
it.
encourage them to just strike up that relationship. And if they can learn to rely on you based on your word and your delivery, uh, that's going to take you really far, and you'll be able to grow that relationship across
Yeah,
multiple businesses.
good business, people. Good business. Practice good business. It always comes back, 10 times fold. I always, always, always preach about that. So I love that you said it here out loud for everyone to hear it. It's almost like call it karma, call it the universe. You put good stuff out and you're reliable, and it'll come back to you tenfold. And I love that. And I love what you mentioned about veterans. I think that veterans is such an amazing niche of people that I'm an Air Force first lieutenant, so I'm a veteran
Yeah.
myself. And let me tell you, I don't want to get emotional, but like for me, I think that there's nothing more noble to do than just give back to the people that gave everything to us. I just don't. I'm sorry. It's just such a dear piece of my heart and veterans that um, I want to see more people listening here doing nonprofits for veterans. You do nonprofits for veterans?
Yes, actually, so it's called HUD-VASH. I
Hmm.
do participate in HUD-VASH too, and we've placed a variety of tenants throughout our properties. I love anytime I can. It's kind of got a special place in my heart, obviously for me too, and so I just love when I can help in that regard as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's such a privilege that we have to try to help those who need through the nonprofit work. And I think it's more than just giving back to the community. I think that we've been put on this planet for reasons, and we really have to fulfill on that moral obligation. Because if not, I mean, then how would our world look like? I mean, our world would, our planet would look like a jungle. If it's a dog eat dog world where everyone's just trying to make a buck and trying to get, whatever they want to get. I mean, how would our life look like? You know?
Yeah.
So I know I got carried away, but I'm very big on those things, and I love that you bring that out to the light. And and again, like this job is so fulfilling, and I see also to you when you talk about this, um, it's nothing short than amazing. I think Pace speaks also about the servant heart, right? Like you have a servant heart, and I think most people miss the mark where they think that money will bring them happiness, and they don't understand that the true joy in life comes from giving. And I talk about it all the time. And if only people will wake up and get it, their life will change. I'm telling you, their life will change. So thank you for saying that, brother. I really, really appreciate that. You're originally from California, right?
Well, I live in California. I'm originally from Chicago, so about an hour. All my
Oh,
properties are in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so it's about an hour north. So that's why I invest back home.
got it. So okay. So you currently live in California, but you invest in Wisconsin. Interesting,
Yeah,
interesting. And a little tiny bird whispered in my ear that your wife works with you. Is that true?
that's right. Yeah, it's been incredible to have her. Um, she's so much smarter than me, and sometimes I can run things by her, and she'll say, "Hey, why are you doing it this way? Do it another way." So she didn't always. She had a lot of trust in me in the beginning with our finances and with starting out. It took a lot of impact on our personal side to get things off the ground. Um, but as she saw, some of the fruits of what we're doing and the impact and the way she could give back too, and it actually took to coming to one of the, I think she coming to Squad Up last year. Now that it's
You
funny that we're
did?
now coming up on Squad Up this year, but her coming out of the shell to understand that she knows just as much about the business as I do. She's just not out there talking about it. And so when she had that opportunity, she really got a lot of confidence in the fact that she knows a lot too. And so now she's been more on board with helping me with property management and all sorts of aspects of the business. I couldn't do it without her.
Um, I also started working with my wife not too long ago, maybe 3 years back or 2 years back.
Ah,
She raised three amazing kids of ours, and she is such an amazing person. Put
mhm.
her, real estate knowledge aside, is a human being, and she was ready to step into the workforce. And I'm like, I mean, you want to work for someone else? I mean, I got so much going on, and I
Yeah.
went through the transition of bringing her into. So I have her do a lot of the property management of my portfolio. More like she started as a property manager to understand the whole thing, and now she's more of an asset manager. But you can't be an asset manager without understanding the property management side, as I'm sure you
Yeah.
know. And you being in the service, you know that you're being trained to start things from the bottom, not start from the top. Because only when you start from the bottom, you can really understand all the layers all the way to the top.
Exactly.
So all the way to the bottom. So a lot of people are against it, but I think that when it works, there's nothing better than that. You
Yeah.
know. So I'm happy you kind of think the same, and um, it's great that you brought her to Squat Up. She went twice to Squat Up.
And she's going, well, and she's going now this year again. So
Wow.
it's going to be even cooler now. I love having her out there and doing this together. It's incredible.
Yeah, it sure is. It kind of ties everything together. You guys have kids?
Yes, we have 4 kids. And that's what she's been doing, so working so hard at for the past few years and allowing me to step aside and do this. Um, our kids are still young. Our oldest is 8. So we got 8, 7, 6, and 4.
Amazing, amazing. So tell us a little bit about your brand, right? Like Thrive brand. I see on your hat the logo. I know that you kind of have, at least to my understanding, and I'll give you the stage to come and correct me if I'm screwing this up somehow. Three legs. You have the asset, MX, which is acquisition and disposition, the property. MX, which is like running the properties. Management side and things, and the creative exchange, which is very exciting. You're launching it from now to Squat Up. Why don't you just take us through all those legs, and I would love to hear more about the creative exchange, so our audience also get to know this a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off with just Thrive Asset MX, and the MX kind of stood for management. As I went down the branding rabbit hole, I found out, you can't copyright certain names that everybody else already owns, right? So I had to come up with something unique, and that's where the MX came in. So as I started buying my first property, that was the Thrive Asset MX, and so the asset management ended up being our original brand. Um, as I took on more properties and brought a lot of things in house, we hired our first employees. We're up to about 7 now, boots on the ground there in Milwaukee,
Hmm.
with also some virtual assistants. The virtual assistants are part of the asset management company that do kind of overarching things for all the companies. And then on the property management side, um, that's where we started Thrive Property MX, which is our local property management brand there in Milwaukee. So that's where all the employees there are. Um, and I've done some syndications in the past as well. We have the Scale CRE and the Scale CRE Foundation. The foundation is our giving back arm that we're still kind of putting together. It's a nonprofit that we would like to launch within the next year or so. And so we have 321 units with my Scale CRE partners, and we've had a good time doing that. That's been really awesome. But the Thrive brand is really a reflection of our personal portfolio and the properties that we own there in Milwaukee. So to wrap all of it together, as I've continuously been asked by people, hey, how do I do this? Can I get some how do I hear more about what you're doing? I've put together the Creative Exchange as a reflection of, as a community, so that people can kind of join in on what I'm doing, whether they want to learn about what I'm doing, talk to me about and get advice about what I'm doing. It's really just formalizing that channel instead of getting all these requests all day long. Hey, can I spend some time on your calendar and things like that?
Yeah.
With the Creative Exchange, I'm
So
creating.
it's the community, James. I just want to make sure I try to make that crystal clear. A creative exchange is a community you're trying to create.
That's right. Yeah, that's a community that I'm building right now between now and Squad Up, so we can launch and be ready to go to help others get into multifamily, whether they
Okay.
want to learn or eventually partner. I'm open to partnering on deals, doing a JV. But it kind of runs the gamut in terms of education, from some formalized education classes that we have to just getting advice and underwriting and what does this deal look like and what would you do, and creating that exchange of knowledge
Love
essentially
it.
between people, that they can get on and talk to their other buddies in the Creative Exchange and do deals with each other, do deals with me. We can all just talk multifamily together.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I've never been in Milwaukee. Um,
I should have
so
you out.
well, I just need an invite. I jump on a plane in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'm quick like that.
Okay.
I just love to travel. But why Milwaukee? Like why? Because real estate investors invest all over the country, right? Like
Yeah.
I do stuff in Texas and South Carolina. Like they're so far apart, different markets and everything. Like why Milwaukee? What's there?
Yeah. Great question. And I get that a lot. I picked the Midwest to invest originally after I did an analysis of the entire country, right? I live in California. A lot of people like to invest in their backyard. But because I live in California, that's not a great idea. Landlord tenant laws and just red state, blue state. So as I was forced to look beyond my own backyard, I started to say, well, what would neighboring states look like if I invested there? And so I kind of did an analysis of the whole country, and I put an Excel spreadsheet together, and I had red, yellow, green, different property tax levels and different. And so what I came up with was I landed on the Midwest, of course, and that resonated with me because, boy, I'm from Chicago. Like, yeah, let's invest in the Midwest. Biggest difference being in California, being an appreciation market. So it's expensive to buy and inexpensive to rent, but you don't always get that cash flow. You earn, your income grows by the appreciation of the asset. Where in the Midwest, it's a cash flow market. So assets are much cheaper to buy, and then you can cash flow them all day long. So being that I was just starting out and I had to pick somewhere, I didn't want to pick an expensive market because my goal was scale. I wanted to get as many doors as possible so that I could achieve economies of scale and buy, when I need doors, I buy 20 of them or buy 40 of them instead of one or two. I can save a lot of money that way. So as I was chasing scale, where could I do scale when I was starting out? That was the Midwest. Like, for example, I did a $10 million property and it was a 43 unit in Salt Lake City. And then my personal property was 39 unit, and it was only 1.75 in Milwaukee. So
Yeah.
huge difference for somebody
Yeah.
starting.
Yeah, and I see that also. You couldn't be more right. I've seen it also in metropolitan cities. I own a $7.5 million apartment building in Philadelphia, a $5.3 million in Philadelphia, and I can get them in Midwest probably around that price. So it's mind blowing how much you're right, and this is such a great discussion for whoever's watching. And so I'm just happy that you said it, because I do see the value in talking about those things. And you mentioned cash flow and you mentioned appreciation. And, some people will come and claim, well, the cash flow is good, but it doesn't really appreciate that well if your cash flow is high, right? So what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say that depends on where you're at in your journey, right? I'm currently, in the C-class deep value add space. Maybe one day I'll move into the Class A properties, but I'm not there yet. I decided to start here because it was easier to get started when I first started out, and now um, uh, I'm really just focused on growing where I'm at. So
Yeah.
why Milwaukee? Because that's where my first property was, and I
Mm,
want to continue to double down on the resources and everything that I have on the ground, everything that I've built, instead of scattering myself across. Oh, there's a property in Texas. There's one in Florida, and I
yeah.
don't achieve vertical integration or my economies of scale in that way, the way I'm set up. Uh, but eventually, I'll get there when I grow.
It's funny saying it. Literally, when I hired not my operation manager, my acquisition manager, she's like, "Why this state and not that state?" Like they're both like, number wise, for the things we look at, they're almost the same. So why this one or the other? I'm like, well, resources, right? We have more resources over there, and you want to, centralize around your resources. So um, maybe it's the the service background that have us think about, I don't know, those things, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. So that's really good conversation. What are you buying? If any of the listeners wants to bring you opportunities, what are you buying, James?
So I'm buying anything from 20 to 250 units in Milwaukee only. Um, and I'm also expanding into hotels this year. Uh, I put an offer in October for a 182 unit property that was three quarters multifamily, and on the front, the street, that was a 61 unit apartment, 61 unit hotel. And so that got my mind turning as far as, boy, I could take care of the multifamily easy, and it would be an opportunity to learn the hotel space. So as I was looking into that further, I'm still exploring some hotels, but
Yeah,
specifically the multifamily piece. Um, I'm seeking at least 20 units. I have an 18, I have a 10, I have a 7. Those are okay, but I'm trying to, of course, achieve the economies of scale.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
need
I
to think
love it.
more.
Love it. The same bird that whispered in my ear that you're working with your wife also whispered in my ear that you're building. What are you building?
Well, I'm not. I'm just really focused on building my company at the moment.
Mm,
Nothing ground up,
got it.
but I do want to switch into that hospitality space. That's going to be our Thrive Hospitality MX brand.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. And I love what you said about the cash flow versus the appreciation. Um, when I have these conversations with people, they're almost like having conversations around what's better, and I'm like, hands down, exactly the same answer. Well, it all
Mm.
depends on what you want. Are you trying to get like where you're at in your life, right? Like you said, in your journey, same thing, right? Like, are you doing long plays where you want to hold it and then exit? You care about depreciation, or you just left your W-2, for example, and you need the cash flow more. Like, where are you at? Like, some people like me are more structured in the way that they have quotas. They want to increase their cash flow by a certain percentage every single year, and they want to acquire more into their portfolio as a net as a um, net worth increase play, so many percentages at 2 years, 5 years. So they want to hold things for them to appreciate, to increase their net worth. So very different strategies, different strokes for different folks. And that's what really needs to drive decisions. what makes sense for them specifically. What works for James might not work for Doron. What might work for Doron might not work for James. So I appreciate you saying that out loud so people can understand, to stop looking at what other people do and say, I want to do that.
Yeah. I think it was more about efficiency. I wanted to be
fit for you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think it's more about efficiency in the way I was trying to scale. I just couldn't see scaling across all these multiple cities if I didn't have boots on the ground there at the time. Like now with the boots on the ground, I can call if I see a property or the owner of the property, which I do, and I can meet them same day. I'll say, great, well, I'll meet you at 3:00. My facilities director go over there, walk the property, take pictures. We can close by the end of the week. And that's the kind of which is different than if I was scattered all throughout the. Now, eventually, I'll be able to achieve scale in all cities, and I am cities, maybe Indianapolis or Kansas City, St. Louis, something like that. I have a super firm foundation in Milwaukee and another 100 units this year or so. And so I think I might start looking out in future years.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think that it also gives you an edge over any competition you might have, being able to execute at speed and efficiency levels that most can't even, dream about, and automatically makes you much more attractive to, sellers when they have not just you in front of them, but even a multiple offer scenario. What would you take, a 30-day due diligence, 30-day after closing, or closing in a week, right? It's kind of a no-brainer. So even if you priced a bit lower than that guy, some people just want to get it over with, and most people, we as humans, more people than not are impatient, and they take patient over anything else. So I appreciate that. We were having so much fun that almost 40 minutes went by. So our time is up, but would love you to tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you in case they want to reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Thrive with the Brewers is our Instagram, at Thrive with the Brewers. And then there's some other links there. They can follow our journey and what we're doing with me and my wife and how we're building this up and how we're trying to help others. And then they can go take a look at our Thrive Creative Exchange, which is thrivecreative.exchange. You can sign up for the wait list now, our founders list, and then we'll be launching content here shortly and leading up to Squad Up. People should be able to join our first cohort.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming. And just keep up the great work, man. And at the end of the day, I think that you're doing things right. You're doing things right, and all across the board. And I can't wait to see what you're going to come up with and where you're going to be a year from now. And I'll say hi in Squad Up. And if I can't see you and you see me, just come and say hi.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to many more Squad Ups and hanging out with you more, Doron.
Great. Just stay put while we disconnect this. Take care.